Please be advised, we are not mental health professionals. Any information shared in this podcast is from our own personal experiences and should not be seen or taken as any form of medical or professional advice. Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast. I'm Jen and this is Kat. We're so glad that you're here with us again on Victimless podcast. Hope you've had a wonderful week. This week we're going to continue to talk about like our inner childs, but Kat's going to take more of the lead this week. And we'll be asking her a couple questions, just kind of getting to know, a little bit more about her. And don't forget, if you're new here, please make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. And thanks to those who've been with us so far. So without further ado, let's just jump right into it. So how was your week, Kat?
It was pretty good, but I keep having nightmares. Really bad. And that's on trauma.
Yeah.
But can I tell you about a recurring dream I've had lately?
Oh, please do.
See if you can decipher what's going on.
Okay, hold on. Ready.
So in real life, and you know this, I didn't get my driver's license until like 2 years ago. And part of that was a lot of reasons, but part of that was I witnessed a vehicular manslaughter when I was 16 at a church lock-in, which is basically like the youth group comes to the church, they spend the night, they eat a lot of pizza, drink a lot of sugar, and it's just like the one time at church where like you're not expected to do or be anything. You're just like, you get to be a silly kid and just hang out and stuff. And so, and this is real life. This is not the dream. I wish it was a dream. It is a nightmare. But basically, like, someone crashed on the other side of the street while we were out there. And it was really bad. So, all that to say, I was afraid to drive. Very afraid to drive for a very long time. So, 2 years ago, I got my actual license. I had my temps for a while anyway. So, this dream I'm having, like, every couple of days is I'm in the back seat of a van. I'm driving.
Like a full-size old school van or like a...
Like 3 rows of seats.
Okay.
So I'm driving a van from the middle part.
Okay.
My parents are in the front seat. And they're fighting and yelling. Okay. And I'm trying to see past them to, stay on the road.
Okay.
And my siblings are in the back, like I think 2 of them, because I'm like 16 in the dream. 2 of my siblings are in the back, and they're like crying and trying to help. And my dad's like trying to hit us, because like that's what he did from like the front seat. Anyway, I'm like trying to drive, and I can't see past like their heads.
Yeah, because your dad's a super tall guy.
He's got an 8 head for sure.
Yeah. And he's just built that way.
Yeah, and I definitely got some of that billboard sort of like, you can read the future on this dome. But anyway, I'm driving.
Look into my forehead.
You can see it. And I'm driving, and we don't ever crash. That's the whole dream. But it feels like that dream takes the whole night. Like I don't get good sleep at all.
Yeah.
And like I wake up and I'm just so exhausted, and like no amount of caffeine can break it. And so like, yeah, I got my coffee. I also have an unsponsored green drink.
I know, I turned my off. I'm like, I'm just going to drink down here today.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, oh my gosh. It keeps happening. So figure that one out. I bet you can. Mm-hmm.
But those are the worst, because I had night terrors. Like when I was little,
yeah.
The dreams were so engrossed, like 3D. There's still to this day, I still can't watch a specific like scary movie series.
Oh.
I dreamt so vividly, but like there's so much intertwined with your dream. The fact that you're driving, but you're not in the driver's seat. and your parents are still wanting to parent you, but expecting you to still get them there safely. You can't see. You are required to have complete focus on all facets and know what's going on. But it's so psychologically and emotionally just, it's one of those that feels like, do you wake up and you're like, oh, you're still, the emotion is so
It's so
highly,
strong. And
yeah.
like I'm hyper focusing, it feels like all night long, so I don't get like that deep sleep. Like I know
Hmm.
when you dream, you are in like REM sleep, but honestly, and like that's not the worst dream, that's more of an anxiety dream, I would say,
Hmm.
because the nightmares that I do have are not podcast friendly. Like we wouldn't be able to talk about them on these
Right.
platforms. But yeah, it's so bad, and I'm like starting to, I don't know, self medicate to try and, in not so healthy ways, I think, to try and stop these from happening. And yeah, it's a whole thing. And I've really been just trying to get good sleep, taking naps and stuff. So it's, yeah, I'm
How does it
awake.
affect you? Like, I'm not a huge napper,
Mm,
per se, but like, does that affect your sleep more negatively or positively when you take a nap during the day? I feel like sometimes I just, because you can't really sleep at night, but I also dealt with
mm,
so much insomnia throughout high school and stuff. So, I mean, I
yeah.
don't really have a
Well, I
good
sort of
skew.
doze, I would say, instead of like taking a full nap because I don't want to dream. I don't want that to
Right.
affect the whole day. And so I just sort of like, doze, and then, if I'm able to, take that time during the day, which I'm not
Hmm.
always able to, but sometimes I am, which is nice. But yeah. And I drive just fine. I'm a very safe driver
You're a great, you are a great driver, Kat.
now. Yeah.
Well, because you're a driver. You've, every time I've been in the car with you, you have been a phenomenal driver.
Oh,
So,
that's sweet. But literally, like, I could not drive for so long because that person in real life who passed while they were driving, um it was a mother and son, and it was just
mm.
heartbreaking. Now that I'm, even if I have my dogs in the car, I'm like, I have precious cargo. I
Oh, very,
must be on top of things. And for work, I won't say exactly what, but my speed is monitored too, so I'm like, might as well just go with the flow and be safe, and would rather just stop when I need to stop instead of trying to run yellow lights and stuff like that.
yeah. I always tell folks, like, when because our families live in different states and stuff, but it's so funny to me when folks are like, ugh, traffic. And they want to complain about it. I seriously tell them, I said, I'd rather be in the traffic than the accident. And every single time
Yeah.
they're like, oh, good point. Oh, well, yeah, but still. And I'm like, no, it stinks. It doesn't make it, but my dog, when she's in the car, I mean, I've definitely had some scary situations with her where I will pull over and check on her because someone makes a poor decision, but
I see her back there
it's
laying down.
just,
She's so
yeah,
relaxed.
she's so happy. We didn't get to spend tons and tons of time yesterday. We went for a nice long walk, but we're
Aw.
spending a little more time today. So, but I don't know that I ever really, did you ever have like a reoccurring theme? Like, okay, so when you dreamt when you were little, have you always dreamt pretty detailed like
So
that?
I was a very much a lucid dreamer. Like
Okay.
I knew I was asleep and would like do fun things
Yeah.
because might as well just go fly if I can. Um,
Yes.
and so like it was very rare that I would have like a dream where I didn't know I was dreaming. And but there were like some recurring dreams, like, oh my gosh, there was this one just real quick when I was little. I would wake up and I'm in the dream, but I would wake up and I'm in these ruins of a monastery, and a
Interesting.
a wolf would like come out of the shadows and would start tickling me. And I hated it. And I was like, no, no, no. And it would like tickle me, tickle me, tickle
Like
me.
a real wolf
Yeah,
or
like,
like someone in a wolf costume?
no, like a real wolf would like pull out his paws and they would do this. Isn't that creepy?
That's so
And
fascinating.
it has like these patches of like it's sort of mangy. Weird dreams, man. I
Like,
don't
have you ever
know.
seen the Neverending Story?
Yeah.
So
Well,
was it
after
like,
that though.
okay, but like, was it kind of like the creepy
Yeah.
little,
Yeah, the part that
okay.
terrorized us all,
Because that's the
aside
first
from the
thing I thought
horse.
of when you're like, it's so creepy. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I just see the eyes,
When I
you know,
saw that episode, I was like, no, 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 turn it off, turn it off, turn it off.
right?
Because that's exactly like my dream. Yeah.
So I know exactly what you're talking about. I've had those dreams, but I used to get really excited to dream until they got worse and worse because it was
Mm.
like, ooh, the flying. I
Mm-hmm.
could go, you know, I had a lot of dreams where like I'd have a lot of war, like getting shot or getting stabbed,
Interesting.
but you can't die in your dreams. Like I remember purposely standing in front of like, there were a lot of like guns involved. And I would purposely stand in front of someone because I'm like, I can't die to save them, and like I would be in front of them and I'd get shot and then I'd wake up. But or I would get shot and you don't feel it. I would feel like a tink tink, like I can't explain how I would feel it technically.
But you knew you were dreaming, and so you were
I
like,
knew that
I'll
I
save
was
you.
dreaming, but at the same
Interesting.
time, there was a lot of running. I did a lot of dreams where I didn't have a voice, like where I would try and yell and I couldn't talk.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, that's cool, but also do you feel like when you went through like a traumatic experience or part of your like self process, like self balancing scenario, do you feel like I had dreams where I also had the scenario where it was scary for me to wake up because I knew I was dreaming and I couldn't wake up and I was still stuck in that dream. Do you feel like you dealt with that, and did you notice that if it was at a time that you were dealing with stress?
I I sort of like really young research dreams because I found them really fascinating, and I knew about what is it called, sleep paralysis.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, okay, if that ever happens, I just know I'm dreaming. And so like it never really happened where I was like trying to wake up but couldn't move my body. I've never experienced that.
Oh, I've experienced that a lot when I was little. But I also moved a lot when I was really little. Like I fell out of my bunk bed. I
Ooh.
have sat up completely because we were in bunk beds, so my sister and I would switch like top and bottom. And like yeah, like sitting up. Like
Did you
did you
like
ever?
thunk?
I 100% did.
Oh no.
Yes, I did. I think I only did that like once. But that was also, yeah, it's not about me today. It was also during when I was sleeping straight up, when I was, synchronized swimming, because I'd make myself try and sleep super straight.
Oh. Did you have to
So I
do that
could,
for swimming?
well, because you're supposed to be really, really straight. And so I was trying
Oh.
to train my body.
Oh.
I loved it with every fiber of my being. I was just really bad at it. But yeah, that's kind of crazy. Like, just and you have nightmares, you have nightmares. I feel like I don't have them as frequently as I used to, but I feel like you definitely have had them more frequently
Yeah, and
recently.
my partner who's older than me, he was basically like, yeah, I had them really bad too. And he was just like, they lessen over time because the distance between what happened and now, like it decreases the amount. Just, you know, time doesn't heal all wounds, but it definitely helps.
Yeah,
Is basically what he said.
yeah, there'll always be a scar there. You always feel it for sure,
Mm-hmm.
but it does get,
It gets
does it
easier.
sad to say easier, but like, yeah, gets more comforting as opposed to conflicting, I should
Yeah.
say, right? More
And
comforting.
to like, I know my brain is processing this stuff while I'm asleep. That's something else that I learned is like, your brain is literally recongealing and
Hmm.
like trying to figure out what's going on and how to process these things while you're asleep. And I'm like, girl, I know it was bad. Let's just get on with it. Come on.
Right. And your environment too was a little bit different where you were homeschooled.
Yes.
I was not. So you also were in like deeply intertwined with every aspect of your development.
It was pretty isolating, but I will say, just a little background. I was homeschooled in a Christian environment. I went to seminary Bible college and I was going to be an apologist missionary. And now I am no longer a Christian and no longer want that for my life. And that is like the biggest tension in my family right now. And so I know a lot of that, those dreams have to do with me being like, that chapter is over. And so, like, I think my brain is also just like settling down. And I really do think that those dreams will become less and less. But I do need to, talk to a therapist again. It was really nice to have one. I need to get back into that. Because she did help me a lot with some of that stuff and just like figuring out what you want for your life, and not just like figuring out what you want, but like accepting what happened before and just not forgiving or letting up and, acting like it didn't matter. But sort of just like accepting that it happened and being able to move on as an adult.
Right. Understanding and accepting that, okay, this did happen. You didn't have an adult healthy way to have that conversation, to process it, to have a cognitive awareness on how to handle stress like that in the future.
Mm.
So now, as an adult, I mean, that's what you're doing, right? You're carrying all of these little, like, they say, don't put all your eggs in one basket, but it pretty much, it like, but then they also say, don't walk on eggshells. Eggs are used a lot,
A
right?
lot of eggs. Which came
Yeah, I know.
before?
But what's really funny, it's just kind of like, but that's your life. Eggs are so fragile, but no one's helping you carry your stress. So you have to be so careful. And now that you're in a healthy place where you have healthy people in your life and healthy influence in your life from other people that want to help you, want you to, they want to foster and fuel your, what you love, your talents, you as a person, you as an individual. You still have those eggs that you're carrying around, you still have to deal with. So, and I think that's what folks don't understand when they say things like, you should be over it by now, but they're your family, but they're your parents. But yet parents tell kids to not accept that behavior from other people.
Yeah, and the thing is too, and I will say this just, for others who have sort of been through it where things were bad and now you're in a safe space. I did not respond well once I was in a safe space because I was waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Mm-hmm.
So things actually got worse once I realized I was safe. In a weird way, I was like not sabotaging myself, but I was like, okay, when is the next traumatic thing going to happen is essentially like what my brain was doing. So it took a while for me to be like, actually, I can breathe and be comfortable and not be in that fight, flight, or freeze, and get out of that survival mode.
And and I'm so sad. Like, I just want to hug you because I understand what you're saying. It's just kind of like, it's sad that I have to say it this way. This is not normal. I feel like things are going way too good for way too long. You're just waiting for, okay, did I do that? And so, you haven't had to hyper focus or freeze in anxiety or panic for so long in a healthy space that now once you were given a longer span of time, it's kind of like, wait, I'm supposed to be helping or fixing something right now. Something's supposed to be wrong. I'm not allowed to be able to function at a healthy, emotional level. So, but I get it. We just talked yesterday about emotions and feeling bad and, that kind of thing. So it still happens. It's still very real.
Yeah.
Very much questioning things. So, and your environment was a little bit different too. Not only you had a couple more siblings than I did, so you had a little larger environment. Yeah. And so I had two growing up. And so, but you also had, whereas I'm more of the scapegoat kind of person, but I do have one parent who is more of the codependent, and one parent who is not. both of your parents are kind of very unhealthy, toxic in their individual ways.
Well, I think in just talking about narcissism too, not to put them on blast, but they are both different kinds of narcissists, I think. One is very grandiose and the other one is very like victim sort of mentality. So it's like they played off each other in a very explosive way, I'll say. So it was difficult, especially being the oldest child, to want to take care of and actually, raise siblings. And, now I miss them so much. And unfortunately, while they're still young, I don't have access as much. They're, essentially, when I came out, they went no contact, my parents did, with me. And then now we're sort of in low contact. So I have supervised visits with my siblings, but it's really nice to talk to them because, especially for the two youngest, I raised them with my brother, and for the first couple of years of their life, and it's just like, man, I miss them so much, and I want just the best for them and all my siblings. But being low contact is really difficult, especially when it wasn't, my decision. I just hope that they're able to feel good and not be in that environment. And, maybe my parents are better with them. That could also be the case, that they've grown in certain ways. Others I found out were not healed yet in their lives. But I just hope that, I'll be able to talk to them someday. So.
No, that's understandable. And I can honestly say that, you going through the situation, I think what makes it very hard for us to understand is, number one, we love people to the core. Like, I can say that for me, and I feel like just we're very similar. We don't want to hurt people's feelings. Like, we genuinely feel hurt when we hurt people. And when this all happened, I feel like they had to control the narrative, it was just so drastic and it was just so mean. Like, it was very, very mean. It was very mean to me. It was just kind of mean spirited. That's how I understand it. You never said that. But I do want to specify when you felt comfortable talking to me about it and bringing it up with me, because we don't just run to each other and, tell each other all the little things, but we give each other our space. I didn't even know, because they found information out and they decided to take matters into their own hands because of their choices.
Right.
And
I was very private. I was very private about my deconstruction. I even went to church with them. No, I went to church with them for 2 years while I wasn't a Christian. And, played the part and showed up and helped out. And, I think that I was doing that not for my sake, but for theirs, to just sort of, not be the bad guy where, I'm just expressing my intellectual honesty. Yeah. And so, when they found out, and I was very, very private online, I only showed like part of my face and, the name Kat, and that was it on.
Yeah. Well, and I do want to preface this too, that when we finally talked about it, and I even said, I had no idea. I had no idea. Your response was because very respectful, very loving. It was, you don't have any interest in that type of thing. So I'm not going to, try and shove something down your throat that I know that you have zero interest in, which I think is very, thoughtful and very kind. And so what I saw was that you were hurting. And instead of providing a space to say, we found this out, or let's talk about it, they just reacted and got angry and said, we're going to punish you and cut you off, knowing that you were raised in an environment, like family was just so rooted.
Mm-hmm. My dad texted me and he was like, he sent me a link to something that I had posted privately. I mean, it was public on the internet, but I was hiding who I was. And he said, "Is this you?" And I said, "I don't, we, that's not something that we need to talk about." That, and basically saying, "Yeah, that's me, but that's private. I don't want to talk about that." And he said, "You need to call me." He's texting me. You must call me. And I was like, "I don't have the space for that right now." And then he said, "Okay, we need to cut off our families." Like in a text. So I was like, all right, dude. Like, I respect that he's a parent and he's trying to protect everybody else in his own way.
But it's just any kind of interaction. It's not a one-sided interaction. You're both adults. And I mean, you and I mean, we're both adults. I wouldn't just tell you, if I were to text you, "I need you to call me right now," you would know it's an emergency. You would know that it was like, Jen never says that, or
Well,
you
it's not you
me.
telling me what to do in an authoritative way. It's like, I need
Exactly. It's
help.
me saying
Yeah.
there's like an emergency, because we
Yeah.
provide, we respect boundaries. We respect that we need space. And and there's just, I mean, I've had personal experiences, and I've had interactions, and I have witnessed personal things. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so I can honestly say that from where you were, like when I met you and your dreadlocks and your cute little
Ugh.
punk rock
Yeah.
days,
Very much a goth baddie. I still haven't gotten over it.
just the growth, as the calmness and the confidence in the calmness of you as a person, and like the growth. I feel like both of us were very like boom, 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 go, 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 because we were so not knowing that it was our anxiety and being yes people all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's just been so awesome just to have someone, just to witness along the journey, like having someone to witness with,
Yeah. And
witness change and growth.
we mentioned, I think, in the first episode that we grew separately and came back together and realized that we had grown similarly.
Yeah.
It is night and day. And I don't know if you would be friends now with the previous me or if I would be friends with the previous you, but I know that, like, we definitely have been through some BS and
Yeah.
we're here to talk about it.
Oh yeah, yeah. So is there anything that you can think of that our listeners might like to know, or any little tips or tricks that you've learned, or anything like that you would like to share with them in regards to helping tools in the middle of a trigger when you're out in public, or anything like that?
Yeah. Yeah. Something my therapist taught me, and this has helped so much. Because I'm sort of a creative person. And I mentioned that I would get panic attacks in the middle of the grocery store. And so my therapist taught me that I should look for, say, 10 things that are rectangles in the room. Look for 10 rectangles. One, two, the window's sort of a rectangle, it's not perfectly square. That painting, and then think of 6 things that are green that you can see.
Mm-hmm.
And your body sort of just, it goes from that panic mode to more of a creative space. I don't know if that's like a different part of the brain, but I do know that like that helped like regulate my body and my breathing, and that has been very helpful, because when I think it's coming on, I'll be like, okay, 4 things that are blue, ready, go. And it'll like,
Right.
and then I'll
Right.
like slowly, the more things I think of, I'll like slowly begin to like ground myself to the reality that I'm in and the room that I'm in or the
Right.
space that I'm occupying. Like I'm able to connect with the world around me and get out of my head a little bit. And yeah, that's been super helpful.
Yes, I actually know exactly what you're talking about. I kind of have something along those lines that I do as well, which is just like, okay, what's real? Like, snap back to the reality. What is real? So if I'm driving, like I told you, I'll get anxiety at any point, anytime, especially driving, grocery store. Someone jumps out in front of me with a cart. It's like, sorry. But
Yeah.
if I start feeling like I'm anxious or that bubbling up, I'll be like, okay, what is real? Because you're right, two different, like, it definitely does something to your brain. I will say out loud, okay, that is a blue road sign. That road sign says for traffic information, turn into channel 1610 AM. Like, I will read
Yeah.
exactly what it's saying, or I will say something like, okay, that's a white car in front of me and it has a blue license plate border and it has a thing on, and then,
Yeah.
it's grounding yourself back to that reality, because your brain can't focus on the chaos if there's something real life in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
And I've also heard too that counting, you can't count out of order. Like if you're trying to count, you can't count out of order when you're in the middle of an attack. Like if you're just not like even odds, but like 3, 9, 2, 6, 22, your brain can't, so that's,
Really? I didn't know
mhm.
that. I should try that next time.
I don't know. Like I've just heard that one. I'm like, I don't know what numbers, but
I don't know
so,
what part of the brain that is, but it works.
hey, yeah. And sometimes when you're by yourself in the middle of a big function, like at an office party or new job, you can just sit in the room and you can glance back, or you can glance behind someone and be like, that's a red brick building outside, like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sitting in a white room. You don't have to say it every time, but it's just a good way to just get you back where you are. So,
Yeah.
well, we've got about 10 minutes left. So let's just get to a little more things you love up close and personal. So yeah, tell us about it.
Yeah, I have three mammals. I have two dogs and a cat. And I have a reptile room where I have a large black and white Argentine tegu named Levi and a newborn ball python. And I've always loved reptiles. I will say, like if I could restart life, I would be a herpetologist and go and get that PhD, herpetology, the study of reptiles. I love them so much.
There's still time, Kat. You can do anything. Don't tell
Okay.
anyone I said that, okay?
But yeah, I think, and people get this. I think they're misunderstood because there's a lot of misconceptions about, ooh, snakes are scary, and maybe that's like an evolutionary thing in our brains where we try to avoid snakes. But and I don't know, but I absolutely love reptiles because they're just they're funny little guys, and they have their own little personalities once you like
Hmm.
learn to speak their language, like their body language, what their hobbies are, their interests. Like Pumpkin, the newborn ball python, is a couch potato.
Mm.
We will sit, and he'll sit up like this, and we'll watch TV. And Levi was wild caught, so he is more of a I want to cuddle and be safe.
He's very snuggles.
We take
Yeah.
naps together. He's bigger than my cat. But honestly, like I think I've always connected with reptiles just because they are so misunderstood, and you can really like get to know them, and they are just like the sweetest things. Once you like respect them and respect their boundaries,
Oh, they really are.
I just love them so much. They're
They
so
really are so
funny.
sweet. They are so sweet. Because that is the room I have to stay in when I go
Yeah, that's your bedroom. You
stay
get to
there.
stay in the
So
the very warm reptile room.
it's very warm. Very warm. So very nice to stay in when it's freezing outside. With
Yes.
a dog as well.
Yes.
So, but they are super, super sweet. Although Pumpkin is very much more of a night owl. He would like to try and wake me up.
Yeah, they're
So,
nocturnal.
yeah, very much is a very,
He was like, "What are you doing? Trying to sleep, Pumpkin."
I know. I'm like, what are you doing? He's
What?
like, trying to get out. Come on now.
I
I'm trying to
want
go
out.
adventure. Yeah, I'd have to sit and have a little chit chat. Be like, buddy.
And I don't think I'm gonna be getting more reptiles unless I need to, rescue one.
Yeah.
Because I love rescues.
Hmm.
Something about them, the rescues, they're so misunderstood. I don't
I know.
know. What
I
could
got
it
my cat
be?
off the street. You
Yeah.
got your lizard out of, yeah. We can't help it. We are who we are. So did you want it, you didn't know you wanted to be an herbologist when you were little. What did you want to be when you were little?
Okay, this is going to be sort of cringe and embarrassing.
Okay.
Do you remember the Egyptology books? The really
Yes.
thick bound ones
Yes.
that had like flip open
Yes.
stuff on the inside, and there was like a
Right.
dragonology, a
Mm-hmm.
pirate one maybe. Um,
Oh my gosh. What?
I I wanted to be an Egyptologist so badly. That was like my dream job. As I'm like 10, 11, 12, I was like, no, I'm going to go to Egypt and I'm going to dig up mummies.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I'm going to do. And obviously, like, life went a little differently, but
Right.
yeah, I wanted to be an Egyptologist and dig up mummies. And I still to this day love going to museums. Like, we have a
Yeah.
really nice museum up where I live, and sometimes they
Yes.
have the craziest exhibits. They do sometimes do like, Egypt or, whatever, and they'll
They got
bring
a
in
good,
mummies.
yeah, their dinosaur section and stuff too. Super
Hmm.
cool.
So I obviously still love that, but life is different now. Not the kid I was back then. Honestly, I watch a lot of like archaeology on YouTube,
Mm.
like different stuff, but those are just some of my things. Me and Pumpkin are watching like get that mummy. Get that mummy.
Yeah, he's like, oh, this is like my people. Yeah, because
Oh,
there's going to be a snake or two in an Egyptian film or documentary, or whether it's hieroglyphics or whatever.
yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but yes, he's probably like, oh yeah, oh, I remember the one time when I was growing in the egg. I remember hearing the stories.
Oh, gonna make me cry. I love
He's
them
just
so much.
he really is, and he's a hybrid too, right?
Yeah,
You
he's a
consider a
het
hybrid?
pied, which
Het
is
pied, that's what it
het
is.
pied, which is basically like a normal ball python with like a mix of pied variant. So there's a lot of different kinds, and I know people that breed them and try to get different mix and match because it's basically like a mystery surprise egg when you open them. Like it's the
Kind of like
mystery.
those little toy eggs that we
Yeah, for
really
adults. Yeah.
yeah, because it's real life.
Yeah, well, it's very cool and it's a really neat hobby. But I think that, you can get to the point where you're like, if you're not a professional, you like start to hoard animals.
Mm-hmm.
And like I'm talking like, yeah, you can hoard animals. I have like, 3 mammals and 2 reptiles, which is a lot, but that I just think that they're just so cool.
Yeah,
But yeah,
know that I would have more if I could.
if I could, yeah, my reptile room would. Did you ever see Lemony Snicket's Series of
Series
Unfortunate
of
Events?
unfortunate events. Yes.
Yes, the second book. I had all the books. The second book, Montgomery has a reptile room, and then they showed it in the first movie with Jim Carrey, and then Neil Patrick Harris did the
Neil
TV
Patrick Harris
show.
did the movie, yeah.
Yeah, but the movie they showed the reptile room, and I was like, that's where I want to live. I want that so bad. So sort of as an adult, I have a mini version.
Have you been to the reptile room at the zoo here? Because if not, we're going.
No, I haven't.
Okay, I'll take you.
No, last time I was down in your area, a lot of the exhibits were closed.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. So, but are you?
I definitely want to.
Yeah, no, we'll make it happen. 100%. And there's also the science centers back open. The big dome. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I'm definitely going to be going to that by myself, but we'll do that next time you're down
Absolutely.
as well. So, but we're getting gearing towards the end. Is there anything exciting going on for you today, or got anything exciting planned?
Yep. Rise and grind, going to work. That's very
Yeah.
exciting. But hopefully the nightmares will decrease. I'm definitely going to look into getting a therapist soon.
Yeah. You do more like do you find that telehealth is easier for you, or like in person, like getting out of your house?
Well, the first time I had a therapist, it was during the plague, during COVID. So it was all online. So I would love to talk back to Recovering from Religion, which is a foundation that is a therapy project, and definitely has helped me a lot personally. So If people are interested, we can link that too. But yeah, I definitely want to see somebody in person because that's something I've never done.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. So, what's any dinner plans this evening? We're starting out. Are you a meal prepper? You're not like a meal prep planner, right? You kind of
I go off the cuff a lot
yeah.
because I
You and I
have
are very
food
similar.
industry experience, like 9 years. Very much. My family used to have a catering business.
Yeah.
And so we definitely raid the clearance section and then I make something crazy out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely off the cuff, but we went to, and they're not sponsored, but you can sponsor us, Red Lobster. And we
Oh,
have all those leftovers from a very fantastic meal, and they gave us so much food yesterday. So we're just going to have the other half of that meal that we had yesterday.
that's amazing.
Oh, it was so good.
That sounds really good. Well, that kind of makes for a nice Monday too. You can go to work and then you come home and you just reheat.
Leftovers. Yep, that's
Reheat and
perfect.
eat.
Especially
Yeah.
with this, the dreams, extra coffee, just come home and relax.
The
It's going to be a good
bipolar
day.
weather,
Yeah.
'tis the season.
Yeah, it is still March.
Everyone, it just cracks me up. Everyone's like, I can't believe it's cold, it's hot, it's cold. I'm like, this happens every year.
Shh, don't tell anybody.
I know. Don't let anyone know. But if you want the inside scoop,
Just so you know, it's gonna
weather's,
happen again.
yeah. You know how you said you'd be a neurologist?
Yeah,
I
or
always tell people, I think I've
herpetologist.
told herpetologist. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
thank you. Yeah, an herbologist is something, I don't even know if it's a thing. Anyway,
Plants.
um,
Yeah.
maybe that's botanist, I thought was.
Oh.
Anyway, guys, this is how we end up on the phone for 3 hours because we
Mm-hmm.
have to find the answers to our questions while we're
Yeah,
talking.
Google's right there, but I'm not even gonna bother.
But no, we're just gonna work it out together. Teamwork makes the
Hey, you're
yeah.
sharing the brain cell. I don't get the brain cell today. You have it,
Right.
right? The one
No,
brain cell that we share?
it'll multiply approximately in about 30 minutes. It'll be fully multiplied.
Oh, okay,
I'll
good.
send it your way.
Oh, I need it.
Um, so I did want to I got my paper back in when I was really little, we did a time capsule and we had to draw like what we wanted to be when we grew up.
Oh.
I wanted to be a dog nurse or an animal nurse, aka a vet.
Oh.
Um, but when I got the picture back, I'm pretty sure I still have it. I have like one box of stuff from like school. And man, I wanted to be orange as well. Like I
Oh.
thought, I was
You
like
wanted a tan?
no, not even a tan. Like I was orange. And the nurse's outfit I drew was like a triangle,
There you go.
all the little kid, how we know how to make dresses. And I made the hat. Yeah. But I still don't remember what I was going to say. I've given up on today. I mean,
It's too early to give up today.
I've cognitively given up on processing today, apparently.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So yeah, that's a little bit about me, and I appreciate that we get to do little interviews with each other and talk about some of the stuff that's going on in our lives. Yeah, it's coming along. This is part of the journey, and we would love to hear from you guys. As per usual, you can contact us or leave a comment at victimlesspodcast@gmail.com. And we'll get back to you as soon as we can, because this is more our thing. It's not Jen and I's thing. It's the community's thing. So I love that we're coming together and we're able to talk about things that we couldn't before, or that's surfacing now. It's a lot because we're all sort of going through our own thing, but we can do it together. So thank you so much for joining us. Can't wait until next time, and we'll see you then.
See you then, guys.
Bye,
Thanks.
friends.
Bye. Bye.
Too stinky. She's not allowed to be in the podcast. I'm allergic to cats. It came out of nowhere. And did you know I hit record when I sneezed? So it's recording now. Or like right before I sneezed, I accidentally hit it and was like, oops. Ah! So we got that. I'll upload that too. Good.
That's amazing.
We have more bloopers.
All I saw was...
I don't know if I could recreate that if I tried.
Hold on, all I saw was... I put her down and I look over and I just do this.
Oh, I made you cry.
Hold on. Then you just go and you're looking at the computer and it just goes...
I wonder how that picked up. I wonder if it actually clipped me or anything, but we'll have bloopers at the end, apparently.
You were dead serious at the screen. And then you're like... didn't even move. You're just like... I'm allergic to cats. Which made it even more hysterical. And I'm like, hold up, did I just see what I saw? Like, am I really out of it that much?
Yeah, it was...
Oh my God.
I could totally gaslight you and be like, no.
I would have just been like, then I'm just going to laugh.
Okay.
I'm having my own little circus over here.
Yeah, time to go back to bed, I guess.
I know.